Yo, what's up everyone? My always hungry fam. So first off, I'd like to address and thank you guys for the support from the Brittany Dawn video, and I thought that this is a good trend for me to start going off of because obviously you guys enjoyed it. You guys enjoy gossip, you guys enjoy me ranting, and I'm gonna give it to you if you want it, right? So first off, I'd like to kind of mention that we are starting contest prep season. Everyone's trying to get in shape for spring break, which if you're trying to get shape for spring break, you're a little bit fucking late, all right? Second off, people are starting to get in shape for summer because of competitions, or maybe even a competition in the fall, and you're being realistic with yourself, then you have a little longer to go, so you're like, all right, let me get ready now. Last week has been an influx of people reaching out to me, asking me with, questions about, them wanting to do prep themselves, so they have a couple questions to ask me, which I'm totally okay with, even though I will give people my most honest answer, and I'll tell people, and I'll ask people, is it their first time? What are their goals? And what are their expectations? What is their experience level, etc., right? I'll always recommend seeking professional guidance. And when I say professional, I am no means a professional, but I think I'm a little bit, actually not a little bit, a lot more educated than the average amateur coach. So I would say that I'm on the intermediate / professional level. I've coached over 500 people in these 2.5 years. So I think I have a little bit of understanding of where to go from there. So I inquired a client today. I will not address her name. I will not address anything else about her. But I do want to say that this has been happening a lot lately, and a lot of it has been coming to light in reference to the Brittany Dawn situation, and more people reaching out to me because they see me coming out and going as transparent as possible, which is definitely my goal. I want to shed as much light on this situation as much as possible. So this girl reached out to me today, actually yesterday, a friend of a friend. Keep in mind, I'm not gonna say her name, and I want to tell you guys, if you follow me on social media, right, you guys probably see me, or you probably saw me posting about it. So I'm gonna read you her meal plan that was prescribed by her quote-unquote professional coach. Babe, can you turn that off? That is, it's going crazy.
It's the washer.
Okay, turn it off, please.
No.
It's like a whirlwind.
No.
All right, so I apologize for the background noise. I'm not gonna cut this out anyways. All right, so there's a couple things that I like to reiterate. There are certain people who like to go about doing a meal plan, okay? Certain people like that because they like to have structure in their lives or whatever the case may be, even though they know how to track macros, which I do not have a problem with. I don't have a problem with that. To each his own. Everyone likes their own individualism. I will say that if you, however, know how to track macros, there's absolutely no reason as to why your coach should give you a meal plan. Because if you track macros, you already know how to do it yourself. You can set up your own kind of routine, but I'll get into that in a little bit, okay? I'm gonna read you this girl's plan. Meal 1, half cup of oats, but this guy had to specify steel cut oats. 4 egg whites, 1 scoop of protein. Now, in my estimation, that is about 20 grams of carbs and 30 grams of fat and around, and I'm doing this raw, guys, around 45 to 50 grams of protein, okay? So 45 to 50 grams of protein is fine, like she's getting her protein. Meal 2, 4 ounces of chicken, 1 ounce avocado, 2 ounces of spinach. I can grab more in one fucking hand than 2 ounces of spinach, by the way. That's only like 3 grams of carbs. And 1 tablespoon of avocado oil. Meal 3, pre-workout, 4 ounce, 95% lean beef or top sirloin, grass fed. First off, let me just decipher the difference between that is 4 ounces of lean beef, 95%, is about 5 grams of fat, whereas 4 ounces of top sirloin is about 16 grams of fat. And I'm reading this off of my own IG story. I'm not even going off of MyFitnessPal. I'm going off of my knowledge. So people understand, there's already an influx of calories there, okay? Obviously, half a tablespoon of avocado oil and 2 ounces of sweet potatoes. Meal 4, post-workout, which is the rest of the day. That's all she has the rest of the day. 1 scoop of whey protein and half or quarter cup cream of rice. Okay, so there's a couple of things with this, right? There's no structure. There's no premeditated reason as to why this quote-unquote coach is administering this type of meal plan, okay? Secondly, this girl is about 8 weeks out. She's relatively lean. She knows how to track macros, and she, how do you say it? She asked her coach many times the reason why he's doing this. What's the reason? The coach has no explanation. She is 8 weeks out, and she's already pretty lean. Keep in mind, guys. And let me add this, and this is what really, really got me. 3 hours of cardio every single day. 2 hours of training. That equates to 5 hours in the gym every single day. No one has fucking time for 5 hours in the gym every single day. 35 hours a week of being in the gym. Keep in mind, out of adding up all these calories is less than 1,000 calories, okay? Less than 1,000 calories. If you're doing 3 hours of cardio every single day, 180 minutes, on average pace, you will probably burn about 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. So, given that, aside from her training, aside from everyday burning in terms of her body burning it naturally, movement, she's operating at a caloric negativity deficit. So she's negatively operating every single day with her calories. And I want to address this, right? When it comes to a point in dieting, and you, especially if you've competed before, you should understand that there are sacrifices that have to be made in order to get to the conditioning that you need to get to, because being stage lean is not healthy. You know, like for women, it's like 13 to 15% body fat, maybe even 12, maybe even 11, depending on how extreme you want to go. And for males, it's, you know, 6%, 7%. No one is 3%. That's a lie. That's impossible. So in order to get to that point, you know, your cortisol levels, your glycogen, not your glycogen, all your hormone levels start to fight back at a certain point, right? It doesn't allow you to get to a certain point because all your hormones start fighting back and your body acts in a totally different manner, and it's very unhealthy. You know, I'm not going to get too scientific into it, but it's really, really unhealthy to get to a stage lean. And if you've competed before, you understand that it's what it takes. That's what it takes. You signed up for it, so, you know, you shouldn't be bitching, right? However, I would like to address that that's why I made the previous video. You have to really do your research in who you hire. You know, like every single coach presents a different method, if they even have a method, of how they get their clients to that specific rate or specific, you know, type, right? For me, it's always about sustainability, longevity, and everything, right? There's a lot of different factors that go into that because there's life beyond the stage, you know? If your client is very overweight, has a very, very low metabolism, of course, you know, you're gonna have to get to a point where it's extremely, extremely dangerous and you're eating very, very low amount of calories, because when you started, your metabolism was a lot lower than, you know, than the average person, because you're eating inconsistently. And to be quite frank, guys, to believe it or not, the people who are generally overweight / obese, they have a lot lower metabolism than people of our stature. Now, I know that sounds like kind of weird, but it's the truth, because people who are like us, we're eating systematically every single day, and we're eating a consistent amount, which in most cases would be the protein, right? Our fats are relatively to a moderate level, and we're very, very aware of how much we intake, or at least like we can eyeball it to a general sense. But in terms of everyday people who are not into fitness, they're eating inconsistently every single day, and some days, you know, they'll get like 500 calories. Another day they'll get like 3,000 calories, depending on their day's routine and everything like that, right? So brings me to the topic of this video, why macro tracking is superior. I know it took me a while, but I wanted to kind of point that out, that this specific client was going through that type of stuff, not including all the other clients I've been having that have been telling me about their meal plans. Like I had a client that just signed up with me who's told me that her coach was tripping about her eating 1 tablespoon of ketchup. Take a pause. 1 tablespoon of ketchup. Her coach flipped shit, like flipped out. Okay, so going on to the topic of why macro tracking is superior. And this is me hopefully stating facts that you guys can see, but also it's very opinionated as well. It's very biased, but it's the truth, you know? Just like I said in the last video, guys, nutrition is a science. Everything you put into your body it should always be a strategy, right? Not just for 5 weeks, not just for 10 weeks, but for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years, you know? Every single day that you do now, every single little thing that you do now has an ultimate reflection and maybe even consequence of what you do in the future, right? So let's just say you start smoking now, right? And you're smoking every single day. You may not see health complications now, but if you continue that habit 15, 20 years down the line, you're absolutely gonna, your lungs are black. You're gonna have tons of health complications, maybe even die early. Bench press, okay? Bench press, for example, this is a positive reinforcement. If you're bench pressing, you're programming, doing everything, and your goal is 315, you know, you're planning for a long time from when you're starting. Let's just say your 1 rep max is 95 pounds, you're trying to get to 315. How long is it gonna take to get you to that point? Everything is a strategy that you do there. It's like powerlifters, preparing for a powerlifting meet, hiring a powerlifting coach. Their coaches put them on a structured plan to get to that point. So with nutrition, it should always be about longevity. You know, like prepping for a show. You know, like this is the most relevant to it. You're doing a 30-week prep or 20-week prep, however the case. That's your end goal, right? But it shouldn't just be your end goal. It's just your short-term goal. And then when you get there, it's like, okay, what happens next? What do I do? All right, I'm bulking for my next show. That's next year. But how do I get there? How do I properly build muscle? Everything is a strategy. There should always be a strategy. And why macro tracking is so important is not just for sustainability purposes, but for sanity purposes, psychological purposes, right? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not any of that, right? I'm not anything in the medical field, but I will say that just working with hundreds of people and my 10 years of experience, having gone through the many cycles of rebounding, yo-yo dieting, and just feeling like shit myself, you can start to see a pattern. You start to see a pattern. The more calculative you are with yourself in your bulking season, in your contest prep season, in your reverse dieting season, the more beneficial that your body and the more efficient you become at everything. That's just facts, okay? So like, for example, let's just say I do for me, 25-week prep, okay? When I start my prep, most people have no fucking clue about where their metabolism's at, which is why they hire a coach, okay? Because they need the coach, or maybe they can do it themselves. But most people don't know where to start off because they don't know where their metabolism is at. They don't know how much they've been eating on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. But for me, I'm very, very calculative in how I do it. How is that, you say? I plan, okay? So let's just say I do a show, okay? I start at a certain point. When I finish the show, I will immediately, on that Monday, enjoy the weekend, and on that Monday, I will start a 16, 20, whatever week reverse diet, okay? I will then start my macros at a certain point for my reverse dieting, which is typically macros that are 2 weeks before your peak week. That's how I like to start. Feed off of that. Start increasing calories every 3 to 5 days, depending on progress. Maybe not even increase on some weeks. But the point of all this is building strategies for the long term, building successful phases in your bulking slash cutting routines. Because let's just say I build up to my point at 700 carbs, okay? I build up all the way from my reverse diet to 700 carbs. There comes a point where your body can only handle so much before it starts just getting excess fat because of your frame. Your frame can only allow certain amounts of calories before it just starts gaining weight. That's just natural, right? You'll start to see the pattern when you actually reverse diet and actually get to there successfully and strategically. But that's besides the point. So let's just say I get to 700 carbs and I will bulk for 2 years on 700 carbs, which is plenty. 700 carbs is, my body frame. Even if I hit 185 pounds, 700 carbs is still plenty, right? I can probably bulk on 700 carbs for 2-3 years if I wanted to. Realistically speaking, I can. And then I'll start my bulk. I mean, not my bulk, my show prep. Unlike most people who have never done that, I know exactly where to start off. So I'm eating, let's just say 85 grams of fat, 700 grams of carbs, and then let's just say body weight in protein, okay? That's just standard, right? I know exactly where to start cutting at. That, my friends, is how you derive a successful cut, okay? If you're tracking macros, like I said earlier, you can give yourself a meal plan. I can build myself like 4, 5, 6 meals, whatever, how many ever I want to eat. Meal timing, meal frequency is irrelevant, but I can give myself as many meals as I want, and I can build myself a meal plan that, adds up to those macros and then go from there. I can do that, because you're tracking macros. You can eat whatever you want. Of course, you have to be very, very smart, guys. You have to understand that just because you track macros doesn't mean you can eat anything. All right, so my camera ran out of battery. I talked for another 15 minutes and I didn't know that it stopped recording. Keep in mind, guys, when I do these kinds of videos, there is no premeditated script. I just go with it. So feeding off of what I said previously, macro tracking, why it's superior. Now we're gonna go to the other side of bro dieting and why it's stupid. Okay, so first off, I like to address that these bro splits, everything with bro meal plans, there is absolutely no science as to why they do what they do. These bro coaches have no idea what they're doing, because essentially what they're doing is they are just giving you a meal plan, the structure in which it was passed down, the tradition was passed down, the idea was passed down from their coach because that's what they've learned. So they thought that it worked for them. If it worked for them, oh, it's gonna work for you. And they don't understand that there is science behind this. And if you ask your coach, okay, if you give me this meal plan, what are the total calories? What are the total macros? These coaches cannot tell you what it is. All they will say is, don't worry about it, trust me, trust the process, you hired me, I'm good, I've prepped X amount of girls, I got this, I know what I'm doing. Feeding off of that, you guys have to remember, if you're talking about top level competitors, I'm gonna name a few top level competitors that track macros. Dorian Yates, 5-time Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger from the golden age. Dexter Jackson, 2008 Mr. Olympia. Jay Cutler, 5-time Mr. Olympia. Steve Cook. You guys know who Steve Cook was. He's our generation. But we're talking about, we're feeding back to the golden age of bodybuilding with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Talked about calories in versus calories out and why it's so superior. Arnold Schwarzenegger was eating all of this food that all of these bro coaches would say no to. Dorian Yates would be eating chocolate all the time because they believed in calories in versus calories out, because that was the way to live life. And we already know that dieting in itself for a show, even not for a show, is already very difficult in its own, okay? The whole concept is easy, but going through the process itself for months and months and months is very, very taxing on your body, because literally you're starving yourself. Your body is at a caloric deficit, so it's eating away its own fat. It's dropping away, right? That's how you lose weight, a caloric deficit. Why not make it sustainable? Why not make it more enjoyable than what it already isn't, okay? What's the point of not only starving yourself physically, but mentally as well? What's the point? You're telling me that if I wanted to have 4 ounces of tilapia instead of 4 ounces of chicken breast, that it's a crime? That if I was substituting the same macros from 150 grams of broccoli into 150 grams of lettuce or 150 grams of green beans, that it's also a crime? That I would change my body composition, that I wouldn't be in shape? Please tell me what the science is behind that. I lost my train of thought earlier because I went in, guys, but it didn't get recorded, so I'm pretty sorry about that. But it's just me showing you guys that, and I hope that you guys are seeing this come to light a lot more, and I'm being more talkative about the subject. I've always felt this way. I've never changed my theory, my mind behind it, because it's science. It's a well-known freaking fact, okay? You're talking about also a top-tier level nutritionist, coach, PhD. You're talking about Lane Norton. He will argue to the moon and back about why macro tracking is so superior. You know, you guys have to understand that people who are watching this right now, if you do not know how to track macros, find someone, whether it be me, whether it be someone else in the industry, that will teach you how to do it. Fuck, if you don't have the money to, go Google it, go YouTube how to track macros, flexible dieting, how to do it, how to use MyFitnessPal. There are hundreds, if not thousands of video on Google and YouTube all over the internet about the subject. And I want you guys to realize that if you are planning to diet, if you are trying to live a healthier lifestyle, that it can be much more enjoyable than you set it out to be. I promise you that, guys. You guys have to understand that losing weight is a science. Gaining muscle is a science. Yes, there's no need to overcomplicate it because the concept is simple, but people get it mistaken and they screw up a lot of things. Not only do they screw up their training, but they also screw up the progress that they've made. It's very important that you guys can understand the importance of all this. That's I kind of wanted to wrap up the video kind of here. And if you guys are interested, obviously, in more topics about anything, you can always DM me on Instagram, always message me on YouTube. Obviously, if you guys are interested in online coaching, I'm accepting clients as well. Excuse me, I will not edit that out. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another video, another rant. If you guys are interested, then please comment down below on the next video that you guys would like to see. And if you guys enjoy this content and you're new to this page, thank you so much for coming into this channel. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, or like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. And I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, fam, always hungry. Stay always hungry. Peace out.